Welcome everyone to This Explainer. Today, we're going to unpack a truly profound essay by Dr. Susan Edwards titled To the Seventh Generation, Inheritance and Legacy, straight from the Phi Theta Kappa Honors Study Guide. We're exploring her fascinating philosophical framework, one that essentially asks us to look at our place in human history not just as some isolated little bubble, but as a vital, highly active bridge connecting our ancestors directly to our descendants.
So let's just dive right in with a pretty visceral realization of our own mortality. In her song Chasing the Sun, Sarah Bareilles describes sitting in a cemetery right in the center of Queens, New York, just kind of contemplating all those names and dates carved into the stone. She realizes that this symphony of past heartbeats below her feet actually means life is meant to be deeply meaningful. It's an incredible reminder that our hopes, our fears, and our everyday challenges, they absolutely matter when you place them in the grand context of everyone who came before us and everyone who's going to follow. And Dr. Edwards beautifully pairs Bareilles' contemplative lyrics with aviation pioneer Amelia Earhart's famous insistence on action. Because, if life is really this meaningful, we literally cannot afford to be passive. Earhart reminds us that making the decision to act, well, that's the hardest part. Once you do that, the rest is just tenacity. But it makes you wonder, to what end are we directing all of this action and tenacity in the first place? Which brings us to Section 1, the seventh generation principle. Now, what's incredibly profound here is this indigenous philosophy that positions us directly on a grand continuum of humanity. The Ojibwe culture, which is part of the Haudenosaunee, operates on the belief that we are intimately, undeniably connected to the very first people who walked the earth, as well as to the people who haven't even been born yet. It's a massive shift in perspective, right? Instead of just thinking about our immediate lives or even just our kids' lives, Dr. Edwards highlights how we are being asked to weigh our current, everyday decisions with the seventh generation in mind. Just picture yourself anchored dead center in this timeline. You are the critical bridge. On one side, you've got your ancestors, from whom you've inherited culture, land, and ways of life. On the other side, the seventh generation. The line flows directly through you. You aren't just some passive observer of history. You are an active participant, inheriting a legacy and instantly transforming it into an inheritance for someone else entirely. Which, of course, begs a really vital question. What exactly does this unique position in time demand of us right now? If we're the bridge, what's the toll? What kind of responsibility comes with standing right in the middle of that timeline? Well, the crucial point is beautifully summarized by Rick Hill Sr., a Tuscarora of the Beaver Clan and former special assistant to the director of the Smithsonian's Museum of the American Indian. He basically says, we inherit a duty. We can't just arrive on Earth expecting to soak up the benefits of the past without putting in the elbow grease. We have to work hard, right now, today, to ensure that future generations can enjoy those exact same benefits, preserving the culture and the land we were graciously given. All right, let's move on to Section 2, choosing love over fear. This brings us to a timeless, classic struggle over destiny. It's a philosophical debate explored everywhere, from Aeschylus's ancient Greek tragedy, Seven Against Thebes, all the way to modern theatrical adaptations like journalist Bill Moyer's play, The Seven. Every single generation has to grapple with what they inherit from their ancestors and what they're inevitably going to leave behind. Do we actually control where society goes, or is destiny just completely out of our hands? When wrestling with that exact question about destiny and the great unknown of the future, Bill Moyers came to an incredibly powerful personal conclusion. He decided that his legacy would be love. He resolved to actively make decisions based on love rather than fear. Because when the future feels entirely out of our control, the one single thing we can actively dictate in the present moment is the underlying motivation of our actions. Okay, shifting gears to Section 3, raising the next generation. Consider the profound continuum of life we are navigating every day. Think about the solemn wisdom of an elder wrapped in a shawl, existing right alongside a young boy just laughing joyfully in the rain. It's a beautiful distillation of the duty Dr. Edwards describes, doesn't it? Honoring the ancestors from whom we inherit our duty, while fiercely protecting the vibrant, immediate future we are responsible for. But this forces us to ask a super pragmatic question, to bring these highbrow philosophical ideals down into concrete modern reality. How do we actually do it? How do we raise the next generation so that they not only thrive, but deeply, truly understand their connection to the past and their ongoing responsibilities to the future? New York Times columnist Charles Blow provides a fantastic answer to this. He argues that we must focus on raising good citizens. But And this is key. He doesn't mean raising people who just follow the rules blindly. He emphasizes teaching children how honor and integrity are constructed, and most importantly, teaching them to actively question the world. If they spot injustice, they must feel totally empowered to work to eliminate it. That right there is how you build a legacy of positive change.
Let's look at a triumphant, real-world example of building a legacy in real time. When the U.S. women's soccer team captured the world's attention winning the 2019 World Cup, it wasn't just a sports victory. Oh no, it became a massive cultural flashpoint about standing up for yourself, fighting for equality, and showing the next generation exactly what tenacity looks like on a global stage. Following that massive victory, a Nike commercial perfectly captured the immediate transfer of this energy to the youth watching from home. The narrator expressed this hope that a whole generation of kids would go out and play, wanting to be just like team captain Megan Rapinoe. The legacy wasn't just the trophy, you see, it was the inspiration handed down to children to talk, to win, and most importantly, to bravely stand up for themselves. Which brings us to our fourth and final section. Where are you going?
Take a second right now and really think about the limits of your own foresight. How will you or your achievements be perceived 3 generations from now? Do you have any clue what your great-great-grandchildren will even be doing on a random Thursday in the future? I mean, we can barely predict next year, let alone 3 or 7 generations down the line. Author Amor Towles captures this mysterious reality perfectly in his novel A Gentleman in Moscow. His character Richard Vanderweil notes that, as a species, we are simply no good at writing obituaries for the future. We can't know how our achievements will be perceived generations from now, because, as he so poetically puts it, when fate hands something down to posterity, it does so behind its back. We just don't get to see the final result of our actions. But hey, despite fate's unpredictability and despite not knowing exactly how we'll be remembered, we can still, as Sarah Bareilles is saying, chase the sun. We do this by committing to core everyday actions. We actively learn from the past, we strive to make our lives deeply meaningful, we take total responsibility for our actions, and we remain fiercely tenacious in our efforts to leave the absolute best possible legacy for that 7th generation. So we bring this explainer to its poignant close by introducing a traditional phrase from the Ojibwe language, one that's deeply reflective of everything we've covered today. Andi Ejayan. Translated, it simply means, where are you going? I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Knowing that you are the vital bridge between the past and the 7th generation, and knowing that your actions today shape an entirely unknowable tomorrow, I challenge you to look at your life right now. Where are you going? Thank you so much for learning with me today.